This game has absolutely blown my mind. You would think that Magnus Carlsen, world number one, has been playing the Caro-Kann defense, which is what he played here, for his entire life. An expert in the subtleties of it, and yet he plays everything. He's about to render a strategic masterpiece, the likes of which we've barely seen this year. No other player in the world could do this. Let's enjoy. Time control is a rapid one. So look at the clocks on the left. It's Croatia. It's the Rapid and Blitz tournament just finished. Of course, Magnus won it. Check out this masterpiece. Fabiano Caruana with white. He's the world number 3. Incredibly strong, as we're going to see. This is chess worthy of the gods. Magnus now brings out the bishop, and the knight rotates round after Magnus sets up the party hat. They're having a great time, and it fights against this pawn break. Knight d7 supports it. This one develops. Now a6, again prepares the pawn push, but covers b5 from the bishop. Bishop e2. Now we see the push here, very thematic. Of course Fabi sets up the connect 4, but it gets better. h6, castles, and the explosive c4. We've got a double connect 4 on the board. Very rare. The players win themselves a day out on the boating lake. Picnic, the whole shebang. How lovely. Even a few sandwiches to finish. So the knight now drops back here, and black's taken all the pressure off the center. d4 is often a massive battleground in these structures, but now Magnus pins his color to the masts by pushing with that pawn there. He wants to attack on the queen side, and Fabi, of course, whispers anyone for a knight maneuver. There's a nerdy chess notation joke, and he wants to advance on the king side. Now that knight is not captured. It's potentially rotating to here. Instead, we get bishop h7, f4, logical, and now it gets a bit strange. First, Magnus pushes h5. Great example of a move you just do not play unless you understand this stuff intimately. Now the idea is, if you capture the pawn here, then you can take here, distract the queen, and you win an entire piece. White can fling in this check, but it's no good. So coming back, the pawn not touched. Instead we see pawn g3, the most awesome pawn structures in this game you've ever seen. And now Magnus captures on c2. Why not a couple moves earlier? I don't know. Way too subtle for me. He was waiting for these pawn pushes, it seems. He achieved this one. Now he goes g6. And would you look at that? Every single pawn on a light square. He completes a side quest. Only goes and unlocks himself Hans Niemann's famous used stogie. That one's coming straight to him. What a wonderful piece of memorabilia. The knight now rotates around. Magnus also improves his, and now the bishop develops. Connects the rooks. Magnus copies here, and he hasn't mouse slipped. He didn't mean to come here. The bishop's now far more active from over here. On g7, staring at a pawn chain. So king g2, a bit of safety. And now knight b6. Another great example of this deep understanding. Where is that knight going, right? How is Magnus going to improve the piece? Watch what he does. h3 is first played, and again, this deep idea of h4. Allowing the pawn to glide on past, but then sinking this knight's teeth into that looming horrible square. The rook saves itself, and Magnus doesn't even capture the bishop pair. He just sits there now. a5 expanding. Bishop d1 goes for some rearrangement. At some point Fabi wants f5, but he can't quite do it with this knight on g3. It would hop back, take the pawn. So before Fabi can get too comfortable, Magnus pushes p there. Queen c1, maybe preparing bishop c2, looks at some dark squares. It's subtle maneuvering stuff, and again, why is the queen on d7? Why not c7? Watch this. Rook e3. Fabi whispers rook lift. He's in tremendous shape right now. Rook b8 is played here, and bishop e1 goes after the knight, so it finds a home here in the center of the board. Now, is it a stable home? No, it's not. It's attacked twice. You've got no jumps, but Magnus just understands everything here and plays knight a4, and the knight can sit there because it's supported by the queen on d7. and the rook's on b8. So it supports invasion. Watch this. If white takes, not played, my board's messing up a bit today, don't know what's going on, then you can drop back simply and suddenly use that d5 square. And although white's a pawn ahead, it's not easy to push it, of course, and this guy remains dead. So we didn't actually see takes. Instead, we get rook b1, seeing the pressure that's coming. Now we get takes, pawn recaptures, and again, what an understanding here. You know, surely you can't do what Magnus does. This pawn's attacked twice and defended twice like this. There's still the pressure in the centre of the board here. But Fabi goes and plays, or Magnus, sorry, castles. So he's leaving 2 pawns to hang here. Which does Fabi want to go for? Let's explore. Say you take here, for example. Well, now black can take here. In fact, let me go with this knight. It's better. Everything's freezing up. Apologies about the pieces here. But this is actually now good for black. And as well as winning that pawn here, you've got a passed pawn. You've got b-file pressure. So let's run back. Winning this one, not actually good. If you take in the centre, same ideas of spinning the knight around. So anyway, Fabi went queen d1, but not the best move. He's cracked under the pressure. Magnus could now invade with the knight, but he instead goes with the rook. Also a good move. We get takes, knight galloping in, queen b1 apparently best. But Fabi understandably stays connected with his centre, wants to attack the black king, but here comes the second rook, invading. You know, how did that knight go to b6, a4, then support here after the opening of the file? It really is a mastery of chess. We now see takes on h4, and it's given the question mark. How can that be? This knight now lands in the centre, a real octopus that Stoctopus can be proud of, but watch this. Takes, pawn recaptures. Let's do a count here. Fabi has got 7 pawns. Magnus has got 5. It's a massive deficit, but he stands better with the black pieces after this invasion. Now this is some next level understanding, intuition. He covers the rook. This knight jumps back and now just starts calmly running the pawn. h4, a3 simply. Again, what's the point? Where's the kind of next knockout move? h5, your king's getting ripped open. Magnus understands he should take that one. Okay, best move. Now takes with check. Queen recaptures and queen b2. I mean, what can you do but do some serious Magnus glazing? It's my son's birthday tomorrow, so we'll be glazing a cake. So I'll probably take a break from chess for a day, then get back to Magnus glazing. King f1 now covers the queen, and queen c1. It's a decisive invasion. The position's level, but it's white that's got the harder position here. The check is played. Now king h8 technically best. A small slip from Magnus here in time trouble because you can play f5. We didn't see it. Line goes like this, e6. Now if the king is on h8, this isn't the best way for black to play. All of these moves would be playable and there wouldn't be the invasion with check because the king's here. So after queen g6, you could play bishop f6. You gain a tempo. But this is why the king shouldn't be here. It means you can't play these captures if white starts pushing. But missed. h6 was played. Similar idea to open lines of attack, but now the king can actually hide out in this cubby hole. Mate in 1 threatened, easily parried with the sidestep. You can check, but bishop f8, no worries. That's better, by the way, than king d7, or the queen swings round behind. So this was played in the game here, but it's a mistake. Fabi should have played king e2. Very difficult move to find, very unnatural, very inhuman, stepping into checks, but it just kind of holds a balance. You stay with the bishop, and black's got to prove how you get a better position. But queen g2 is terrible because the pawn simply drops. King e2 now played, queen c1, going after weaknesses here, and how do you really defend them? What does Fabi do? King f1 back. I mean, he's just run out of ideas. He's been absolutely bamboozled by Magnus's play. Check. Now bishop f8. Queen back simply. You know, the knight was about to drop. Knight takes here, using the pin of the bishop. Queen f2. Knight e4. Don't Botez gambit, but at this point it wouldn't really matter. Now this one enters the game, and after king g2, we get check, a taking off of the bishop, knight takes back, and this pawn drops. And just like that, Magnus is now 2 pawns ahead, safer king, outside runner. It's just absolutely horrendous for white. Truly epic chess. He now is about to mate the white king, or win a knight, or push a pawn, and Fabi can't deal with all the threats. He resigns here. If it had just started checking, well, the king simply gets out of dodge, and you've got nothing. Check here, the knight steps back. This was the final position. One of the greatest games of the tournament, truly. Hope you enjoyed this one, and if you want to see another epic game of chess between Magnus and Fabi, one of the games of the year, last year I think it was, maybe the year before, have a look at the video on screen. Thanks very much for watching, and see you soon. Cheers.